You are listening to the Shopify Solutions Podcast, a podcast for Shopify store owners that brings you concrete examples on how to build and grow your e-commerce brand. Your host is Scott Austin. He owns a Shopify agency called Jade Puma. In this podcast, Scott will share his e-commerce insights and best practices with you.
Hey, Scott Austin here. In this episode, I'm going to review some Shopify stores. So, as always, there's an accompanying video if you listen to the audio version, and you can watch the video if you want to see what I'm talking about on the screen. Now, normally when I do an episode like this, I do a Google search for something that's kind of relevant to what's going on. And right now, it's the middle of October, so a good search for me to do would be, hey, let's find some Halloween candy. But instead of going to search, I thought I'd start this a little bit differently today, and that is to go to ChatGPT. So here I am on ChatGPT 5, and the input I gave it was, can you recommend 5 healthy snacks that I can give out on Halloween? Limit your results only to Shopify stores. So it's kind of nice because when I do this in search, I can't have it just limit to Shopify stores, and I have to filter through which ones are Shopify stores to show you in an episode. So already in AI, there's a little value add going on there. And it gives me back some results. It says, and it's kind of interesting because the more I use AI, the more I, learn about it and how it's doing certain things, right? So, I did say that I can give out on Halloween. So then it says, in its response, if you like, I can pull direct product links. It doesn't give that to me by default, which I don't know why it doesn't, but I didn't ask for it, so that's fine. And then it says, and it can filter for mini sizes, ideal for trick-or-treaters, which is one of those, AI is trying to be smart about things, and it realizes when you give things out at Halloween, mini sizes are better. But once again, it didn't do that by default. But it gave me a list of 5 different snacks. I did ask for healthy snacks. So a lot of them are like healthy by the ingredients, and then a couple of them are high protein for people who are trying to, put on muscle. So this Chomps one that first shows up, and then the Maz protein snacks, the 5th one, they're very much towards, people who are trying to bulk up. Probably not appropriate for Halloween. And the middle 3 are like trail mixes and nuts and berries and that kind of stuff. None of them say Halloween in them specifically. And AI is trying to, because it actually says in the AI result why it's good for Halloween. But, I was surprised that none of them said Halloween or their Halloween version or Halloween, bulk pack or snack packs or something like that, which, do exist on the internet, even exist in one of the stores, I think, when we go to it later on. But, AI right now is, trying to look at the structured data inside of, Shopify stores and all stores for that matter. And the structured data in Shopify stores probably don't specify Halloween and different holidays for these healthy snacks. And what we're going to be seeing in the future is Shopify stores and all e-commerce stores are going to be doing a lot more structured data behind their products. And you'll see a lot more from us at Jade Puma about that because we're actually building an app for that purpose in the future that we want to put in the Shopify App Store because that structured data is going to be so important. But right now, the net point of what I'm saying is none of these products were specific for Halloween based on the product data. It was AI determining they were appropriate for Halloween based on what it assumes is appropriate for Halloween. So then, after giving those 5 results and I read through it, I said, okay, let's follow your advice. This is me talking back to AI. Limit your recommendations to products that would be suitable for trick-or-treating, so individually wrapped. And then it went through a whole bunch of work. It gave me a nice little summary table. Like, the way it consolidates a whole bunch of information really quickly is just amazing. And then, at the end, it says, if you like, I can pull, 10 more snack-specific Shopify options with direct links and unit cost and filter by price less than 50 cents per treat so you can budget per trick-or-treater. Would you like that? That's amazing. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yes, please. It was my response. So then it gave me 10 of them, and then it said, here's my top 3 picks for you. And the 10 of them were, I'm looking here, 4 or 5 of them are from one provider, and then the rest of them are different brands. And then I said, all right, I like your top 3. Provide links to your top 3 picks. And it gave me 3 products, and these are the 3 we're going to go through. So we're going to look at these 3 products, and we're going to look at their brand beyond that. So this was probably a 1 or 2 minute exercise on ChatGPT in trying to do some trick-or-treat shopping for, in preparation for Halloween, and wanted to focus on healthy snacks. So let's see what AI came up with as the results, and then let's look at those brands and those products, right? Just a way for me to bring up three random stores for me to review for you, so you can see how I look at stores and evaluate them and evaluate their shopping experience and their overall, brand. So the first one is Yum Earth. And for today's video, for those watching on video, we're going to be looking at the mobile version of the product page. The rest of the store, look at desktop because you can see more things on the screen at once. But as you all know, everybody's shopping on mobile these days. So I wanted to look at the product page at least on mobile so we can evaluate it, on that smaller screen. And Yum Earth has, some nice branding. I like the colors, the green and the blue, or green and teal, whatever we call those colors. Those go together nicely. The colors do look a little different on their packaging from their website, so they might want to check that and make them a little more consistent. But the colors, make the branding, friendly and warm. That said, the first, criticism I have is they've got this Halloween stock up sale. It sounds like a great idea, right? But they've got this element at the top of the page in the announcement bar that is absolutely ridiculous. There is one, two, three, four, five lines of text in the announcement bar on mobile with one, two, three different discount codes that I have to type in manually, I guess, based on what price tier I'm at. And it's $65, $70, and $75 are the price points. So they're $5 apart, and that gets me another 5% off. So if I order $65, I get 10% off. $70, I get 15% off. $75, 20% off. The fact that I have to type those codes in manually, unacceptable in today's world, right? You can do that with automatic discount codes, super easy. And then the fact that for $10 more from 65 to 75, I get twice the discount. That's just not good pricing strategy. And then there's also a promotion in there that says enjoy free shipping on all orders over $49. So I got four different price points I have to keep in my mind because they're not taking care of that for me. Not good. Now let's look at this product. It's fruit snacks, and it is a bulk thing, so they would be good for trick or treating. It's an organic fruit snacks variety box. And my first image is of the packaging. My second image is of the packaging and tells me that I get 20 snack packs per box, and it shows little snack packs. The third one is talking about the flavors and a couple of product badges for elements like organic and no artificial dyes. The next image is a side-by-side comparison of their product with what they call the other guys without specifying a brand. And there's 5 different criteria being judged, and they get checks for all of them, and the competitor gets X's for all of them. And that just to me is deceitful, or I don't know the right way to say it, dishonest or BS, probably the best way to say it. When you are good on everything and the competition is bad on everything, you've self-selected what you're judging on, right? Because your competition is not bad on everything. So you should be a little more fair in this in your evaluation. It's totally fine that you have more checks, but your competition should have checks also, right? And the other guys, if you're a healthy snack brand, because this isn't, their title is organic fruit snacks and it's Yum Earth. So I think, they're going after healthy snacks in general. And we'll see if I'm wrong in that as we delve deeper into the brand. But if you're a healthy snack brand, I'm looking at it and like the other guys is probably the unhealthy snack brands where they should be comparing themselves to other healthy snack brands and put a stake in the ground. Put some brand names down there that people can identify. Next product image is once again the packaging with a kid holding it like they're taking it to school in their backpack. Next product image is a bunch of product seals on things that this product doesn't have because it's egg-free, gluten-free, and those kind of things. Next product image is selling other candy. I would not recommend that. People are on this product. Let's focus on this product. The next image is the back side of the packaging, which shows the nutrition facts, but this is a render and it's at an angle, so it's actually, hard to read, where I would just show the nutrition panel standalone without the rest of the back of the packaging. So in all of this, I do not see a photo of the product. They look like little gummies. I can tell that by some of the pictures they've drawn, but there's one thing that's maybe a photo of their stuff, but it's really small on the overall photo where everything else is computer graphics. So they don't even show like a close up of what this, candy looks like, so you can get a sense for, the feel of the product or the look of the product. Looking at the product title, organic fruit snacks variety box, they have 7 reviews, so it's a good thing they've got reviews. Now they're showing 2 product options here. One is sizes, 20 count, and the other is pack count, 1 box. That is kind of weird. Okay, so the pack count is basically the same thing as the quantity box. They show a quantity box. I can order more than one if I want to. Now, the reason I would put a pack count in as a product option is, if you order 3 and we're going to give you a 10% discount on that, some sort of like quantity breaks type thing. A package count is a good way to do that because you can easily just price that variant price at a 10% discount if they order the 3 pack versus the 1. But they're not doing that here, right? So both their product options have one choice and they're selected by default. So these product options don't add any value to the process. So I would remove them. Now, the reason they might have them is maybe, they've got a 40 count box also and it's out of stock and they're not showing out of stock ones. If that's the case, fine. But if it's not the case, let's just get rid of that, extra element on the page that just can confuse people. They've got a little bit of a copy on these, the products. Not much there, but a little bit of something. They talk about their simple ingredients. They talk about their ingredients. Once again, they don't have the nutrition panel, an easy way to see. And then they talk about the free from and friendly facts. And then flavors may include, they tell the flavors of the elements. So that's not bad. They do something interesting here. I've seen it a couple times on this page with capitalization, right? So I'm a big fan of your branding of consistency and consistency in everything that you're doing, like colors, your fonts, your capitalization, your imagery, and all that kind of stuff. So here, most of this, what they're doing, like they have this title case, like organic fruit snacks variety box, the product title. The first letter in every word is capitalized. And then, when they're doing a product description, the sentence starts with a capital letter. But then when I get to simple ingredients, it's all small case letters. So it's harder to differentiate between them. And they're also comma separated instead of in a bullet point list. So it's just harder to read them. But to me, it doesn't look consistent to have a title case going on, then sentence case, and then all small letters. And they do that, I think it was in the footer also. Yeah, in the footer, they've got a bunch of links in the footer, and everything in the footer is small case. But that's, they don't do that everywhere because, like in the breadcrumbs, it is title case. So there's an inconsistency there in the branding. Not the worst thing in the world, right? A lot of their branding is very consistent, especially on the color side of thing, and even the fonts look more consistent. But that was what I noticed was capitalization threw me off. Now they're using Yotpo for the reviews. They've got 7 reviews for this product. They've got the ability to write a review on this product page, which I don't recommend doing because I could go on here right now, not having purchased the product and write a review. So you can disable that in the app. They've got the tabs for reviews. There's probably another one for questions or something, but there's no questions on this product, but it shows the reviews tab. So just another element that's not needed. And they have the ability to filter reviews. This product has 7 reviews, probably no need to have filters. When you start getting in, dozens and hundreds of reviews, then you can turn on filters, but even then it's really not that necessary. Now they've also got a you may also like section, recommended products, down at the bottom of the page. If you listen to me talk more than 3 minutes, you realize I'm not a fan of that on product pages most of the time. Now the interesting thing is, and I was thinking about this when I saw this element when I first started reviewing this page, is my thinking on that might change over time. In that, with this ChatGPT search that I did, what it did is it recommended products to me, where if I had done a normal Google search, it would probably recommend collections to me. We might, in a world where more AI search is happening than, or increasing AI search and decreasing web search, people might be landing more on our product pages in the future than they are today, where, most SEO is driven to the collections, therefore making merchandising on the product page, other products, more applicable. I don't think we're there yet, but it made me think that maybe that's a shift we'll see happening. And the interesting thing is they actually have Halloween organic gummy fruits. The product title is Halloween organic gummy fruits. And once again, as we talk about their inconsistent capitalization, that product, there's 4 products shown on the page. 3 of them are title case, but the Halloween organic gummies is small letters only. But, just know that AI did not pick up on the fact when it recommended products for me, the one with Halloween in the title. And then they've got in the footer, they've got the social links, they got the pay icons, and then they have a ton of links, a ton of them. They got what I consider the normal links in the footer, things about the company and policies and support and all that good stuff. But then they've got this element where they're trying to merchandise everything they sell. So it's sort of like their top nav but expanded. And to me, that's just and that's on every single page, right, on their website. So their footer is not half their page. Let me see, it starts right here. So if we look at the scroll bar over here, yeah, their footer is like 1/3 of their total page height on mobile. Now there's some things they could do to make it take up less space on mobile and make things a little more horizontal and stuff that they're not doing. But I wouldn't have all the shopping links repeated down in the footer. So now let's look at the rest of this store in desktop mode so we can see more on the screen at one time and evaluate their brand a little bit more. Even on desktop mode, that announcement bar message is just way too long and confusing. But let's go to their homepage. And they're merchandising Halloween right on their homepage, which is good and timely. They've got a lot of product badges that have their own cartoony, like, consistent look and feel, right? So that's part of their branding elements. That looks very nice, having those all be consistent. I had noticed elsewhere the product badges that are on the packaging aren't consistent, but that's because they're using industry standard product badges, and each one has their own, design element behind them. So I like just overriding those and putting in your brand specific ones. Then they merchandise, they're doing a lot of product merchandising on their homepage, which I'm not a fan of. I think you need to drive people down into your navigation a little bit better. What I want to see here is on this homepage, I'm just going to list on images product, 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 product. So it's product photos that I'm seeing. And then I finally see a person, a young girl smiling, on some treats that she's made, and then product. Even in their Instagram feed, it's a lot of product photos and not many lifestyle photos, but there are two lifestyles. And they're very kid focused in their photography, which seems appropriate. So there's not a lot of people in this photography, and that's most small brands that are starting out, they don't have that lifestyle photography yet. They start off with product photography, but you do want to migrate that, especially in your homepage where you're setting the brand tone and your navigational elements. You want to move that into lifestyle imagery over time, and they're doing a good job with the ones they've got with the kids in them kind of thing. Just want to see now if we go to their about page, I want to read about them. So they have a menu called company, and there is no about in that menu. They have other ones, no about that I can see. Let's see if I hit the contact us. Nothing there. Let's see if they put it in the header. Nope. They don't have an about us that I can see, right? So let's look at their contact us. Their contact us is purely a Zendesk form. That's not very good because normally on a contact us, you can at least say, hey, we're in, the United States, or we're in Germany, wherever you are. So we can get a little feel there. If I look at their FAQ, they don't open up with an FAQ. I've got to select what I want. Nothing there on the About Us side of things. Once again, that's all done inside of Zendesk. They've also got a rewards program. They have, in my mind, too many links in the header that are not shopping focused, right? FAQ and contact us are not about shopping. And those are things that should happen only when you fail, when you as the customer fail in the shopping experience. And having those in the header makes me think that maybe people fail in their shopping experience more than I thought they would. They've got a loyalty program. It makes sense for a consumable like them to have a loyalty program. Once again, I don't think I would make that a top level nav element. Your goal to start off with is getting, customers to buy from your brand. Once they're buying from your brand, you can then promote the rewards program, and you can do that inside of email to your existing customers instead of to everybody in your top level nav. They've got a store locator, which is a really good thing if they're on in a whole bunch of retail locations. And here where I am in San Diego, within just a couple blocks of my house, there's 5 places that I can buy their products from. So that's fabulous. And it just came right up, detect my location and all that really accurately. That's nicely done. They've got this free from, which I think is, in their header nav says free from. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh, free products. What am I getting for free? And it's their way of saying our products don't have all these bad things for you, which makes sense, but I was just confused by it. Oh, and then on the free from, they have a little our company thing. Yum Earth was created by families for families and offers a variety of organic, allergy-free friendly sweets. As more people are affected by food allergies every day, our promise is to keep innovating and creating friendly sweets. But that's all it says, right? It doesn't show these look like stock photos to me. They're not, because it has their products in them, or it could be AI inserted products, or Photoshop inserted products. I'm not sure. They feel very stock to me, and they have I hate mission statements on small brands. I really do. They have that, but this is all in the free from, right? Where I thought this was gonna be about their products, they're trying to tell their whole about story on that, but it's not that deep. I get no sense for who these people are, where they're located, do we have things in common, kind of stuff. And I'm beginning to think that this is actually a photo shoot they did, because these two people here are the same in this other photo. So they actually did a photo shoot, which is good. But I don't know if those are, models or the actual, team members or brand owner kind of stuff, where, if you're talking about the brand, you want to be clear that, hey, here's who we are, meet John and all that kind of stuff. And that said, I'm being really nitpicky here. Yum Earth is nice store. It looks really nice. The biggest change I would make is flatten out their top level nav to be more shopping focused and to be more consistent in their capitalization and tell their brand story better. All in all, nice looking store. Let's actually take a candy, drop it into our cart, see what their cart looks like. Oh, that was really weird. There was a loading GIF to have the cart thing show up. It's a fly out one. They've got a free shipping counter on their order on their cart. I'm not a fan of those if you haven't qualified for free shipping, because some studies have been done that just say people look at that and like, well, I'm not getting free shipping, then forget it. They don't go back and order more. They just abandon this order. I do like showing it when they earn free shipping, but not if they haven't earned free shipping. And then if I go into the checkout, I just want to see what their branding looks like there, because their branding's so strong on their site, and it is also looking good here. Let's see if they've got their colors here inside of the checkout experience. I might take the gray background on the right hand side and make that their green on a really light shade of it. But other than that, it's totally fine. So that is Yum Earth. Overall, I like the store a lot, even though I criticize the heck out of it.
Building trust in your store is essential, but let's be honest. Most trust badge apps make your store look worse, not better. Their badges clash with your brand and give your store a Frankenstein-like feel. That's why we built Badzilla, the Shopify app that delivers trust badges that seamlessly match your brand. Originally crafted for our private clients, Badzilla was so successful we turned it into an app for every Shopify store. With Badzilla, you'll access hundreds of badges, all customizable to your brand guidelines, making them a natural part of your customer experience. Place badges on product pages, collection pages, the home page, and more. Take it a step further with conditional logic. Show a Made in Canada badge only on products made in Canada, or tailor badges to highlight your unique selling points. And the best part, Badzilla comes with a robust, always free plan, so you can start building trust risk-free. Transform trust into conversions with Badzilla.
All right, let's go on to our next store, which is Very Good. The product that got recommended is their Very Good 120 pack, 1.5 ounce mini snack bags. So once again, little snack bags make sense for Halloween treats. Now, the first thing I noticed on this store was they don't have a fave icon for their store. So their tab in my Google Chrome browser is the default one, because they didn't put that branding element in their store. Now, what I like about the product photo that I first see, it shows one of the little individually packed bags of, snacks, which they look like trail mix kind of thing. And they have a little element put on it, like a little badge that says 120 pack. So they show one pack, right? Because that's what you're buying, is a pack, but it shows that there's a count of 120 when you buy it. I think it's nicely done. Remember what the other brand had done because they showed the full package. Here they're showing the individual packages and just giving you a count. So I like that. The second image is the same one without the 120 count on it. And the third one is a photo of the product in close up. I like that a lot. And they've got, text with little hand-drawn arrows saying walnuts, almonds, pineapple, cherry. So they're basically telling you the ingredients and letting you see what they look like, if you had a handful of this stuff in your hand. So that's nicely done. They've got share icons on their product page, which I don't think anybody's used those since 2009. Why themes even include them anymore, I have no idea. They allow you to purchase and subscribe. If you subscribe, you save 10%. So they've got the promo for that. They've got the Recharge, how subscriptions work, because Recharge puts that on there. There's a button, but they've styled the CSS to not show the button and the text, but it's showing the icon of a circle with an arrow. It just looks like a refresh button for some reason. When you click on it, then you see the button for a second, and it pops up the how subscriptions work. So it looks like they were trying to hide that element and didn't finish hiding it all. Poorly done. Their quantity box doesn't have plus or minus or up and down arrows to change the quantity. So I have to select the number and then change it with my keyboard. They've got a short product description. It is very short, 4 lines. As the name implies, it's full of berry goodness. Very good includes pineapple, golden raisins, blueberries, cranberries, walnut pieces, almonds, and cherries. A mini version of our snack bags for single-serve snacking. I would imagine if I went to the snack bag, there'd be a lot more information. That is all that is on this page. So the 3 images I taught, there's a 4th image, which is the nutrition facts panel. So that's good that that's there. You can see the details of that stuff, but not a lot of information on this page. There are no reviews, no social proof of any kind. So it's a nice, simple, clean page because there's so little on it. I would expect a little more detail here when I'm, and by the way, the price of this 120 pack is $127. So I'm spending $127 and I just have that 4 lines of text that I read to you to explain to me what I'm buying. And maybe their customers know their brand already and that kind of stuff, or know the products well enough. But this product page should have the same information that's on the other product page. So let's see that. Let's go and look and see if I'm right that the main product page for Very Good has more information. Now, I'm trying to find that in their nav. I'm going to guess it's a snack mix. Hard to figure that out because the way this is laid out, it's really hard to see the names of the products. I'm not even going to explain how poorly that page is done. Let's just search for Very Good and see if we can find the other version of it. Nope, they've only got a 24 pack also, and it's got the same lack of information. So I was wrong that they probably had more information on the other product they were referencing. So let's look overall at the Truly Good Foods brand and see what we can evaluate here. We're looking at it, in full screen mode now. Announcement bar says flat rate shipping of $6.99, free shipping over $100. I don't understand why flat rate shipping is a value prop. If customers find that as a positive, I would be surprised. They've also got a whole bunch of colons or something in the middle. I don't know what's going on there. It just confuses things in my mind. They've got this homepage image, big banner, shows lots of product photos. Not the worst thing on the planet. Got text that says, or above it, or overlaid, who could say no to Truly Good? And I had this pause for a second as I said that, because they've got a shop now button over the text. So where it says, who could say no to, all right, the shop now button over, I'm like, what does it say there? I don't, and it took me a second to realize what it was saying. So just, they laid that out poorly, where the text is embedded in the image, but they didn't think that there was going to be a button over the top of that. So easy thing to fix, but it's one of those little nitpicky points. Now, their main nav is all about their products, so I like that. Scrolling down their homepage, they go straight from the who could say no to Truly Good to individual products, then individual subscriptions, then individual packaged snacks, and then at the bottom they've got a couple nav links for shop candy, shop nuts and seeds, and then the I want to buy my favorite snack. Oh, that sounds interesting. What's my favorite snack? I click on that, and it's a contact. Don't see a product you are interested in purchasing at trulygoodfoods.com. Fill out the form below with more information about products you'd like added to our online store. There is no form here. Right, so that's a complete fail. And I wouldn't have that. And once again, you hear me say this, and I don't know if I'm clear enough when I say this. Too many sites are designing themselves for when they fail. right? Going back to the previous store where I was mentioning in the header, they had the FAQ and the contact us. Those are failure links. I'm only going to use those when the store doesn't work for me. Here on their homepage at the bottom center, they've got an element designed for when they fail. So I don't like having that stuff front and center. I like to allow people to keep shopping and not get confused by these things, especially one like this that is a dead end. So in this homepage, going back to reviewing the homepage and the brand, there's not a single human person in the photography. I'm just going to pick on another product. No humans. There's no humans in this store at all. I also don't see reviews. Let's see in the footer if there's a reviews link. There is not. So there's no social proof either that I can see. Now, if I go into the about page, their about us is 6 lines. Truly Goods Foods is a food manufacturer, importer, and distributor of bulk and packaged snacks and specialty foods. For over 40 years, we have been responsive to our food industry customer needs. Oh my God, that is awful, awful wording. Like, would you ever talk to a human that way? And we continue to help them grow their business by sharing our product and market expertise. Our company was founded in 1977, and we are women-owned, family operated. They forgot the and. Our goal is to produce the tastiest snacks for families to share for generations by starting with the highest quality ingredients and create snack mixes bursting with the bold flavors you love. I have seen some poor about pages. This is on that list. There's no photos, right? And they say a couple good things like we're women-owned, family operated since 1977. Fabulous. Show it to me. Show me. Show me your first warehouse or your first manufacturing facility in 1977. Show me that family photo, right? Show me, since 1977, it's multiple generations, I bet, working at this place. I would love to see that story. And they don't even talk about where they're located, right? Let's actually see in their contact us page if they have. Nope, they don't even have on their contact page where they're located. Let's see if we can find that out in our online shopper policies. Their email address is a different domain. I don't trust that. And they don't list their location there either. So I have no idea who this family-friendly, women-owned, family-owned business since 1977, why I should trust them, right? They say things, but they don't give me any proof of it. So this store is really empty, right? It has no soul. The branding, they got a color scheme. It's not bad. There's, some lack of consistency in certain things that I'm not going to go into because they need, social proof. They need reviews. They need a good story. It sounds like they have one, but they're not telling it to us in any sort of depth or with any proof. They need to establish, where they're from, all that stuff, add humans into their photography and not just have product photo. And they're not even product photos or product renderings, right? Easy things for them to fix in the store. So let's move on from that to Ella's Flats. The product that got ranked was Everything Snack Pack, a 20-pack. It starts off with, so this is a sunflower seed cracker. I can see that by looking in the product image. There is only one product image, it looks like. I can subscribe to this. It's got the right text for the recharge element showing up. It's got the Shop Pay promo. I'm not a fan of Shop Pay promos. It drives me nuts the way that Shopify embeds that into your product page automatically, and there's no way to turn it off with like a checkbox in your theme settings. We actually go in and put in some CSS and JavaScript to remove that from our stores. And then they've got the quantity button, the add to cart. Now, this one has a really long product description, really long. I don't mean that in a too long a way, but there's a lot of copy here. So that's good, right? They're thinking about their products. Now, I will say that there's only one product photo at the top, and that it's I don't even know if that's packaging. It's hard to tell if that's because it's a flat lay. So I don't know if that's an image or a photo of the packaging. Oh, I can see a net weight thing. So that is the packaging, but that wasn't obvious by me looking at it. And then I'm scrolling on the product page. They're showing other products. Oh, and see, this is what their packaging looks like. So this is just a cropping of the packaging. That's not good. So the next time I see a photo of what I think this product is over 2/3 of the way down the page. So I went down this long product copy. They had the merchandising for other products. I'm not a fan of that. They showed product details, which is more text, ingredients, more text, structured well, unlike some of the other ones we've seen, shipping policy. And then below that, I finally see an image of these look like crackers made from seeds. And the crackers have all this food put on top of them. So it's actually hard to see the cracker, right? So then they've got another one, the cracker with even more food put on it. I don't see a photo of just the cracker on the whole product page. So yeah, it's low-hanging fruit for them to fix. But it looks like they're doing a good, job talking about their products. They do have product reviews on this page. This is Judge Me product reviews. They've got a little bit of an issue with the margins on mobile. They should fix that. The text and images go all the way to the edges, just on the Judge Me part of it. And then their footer links are really short and simple, but they could also make those horizontal on mobile to take up less space. I also like to make my footer a different color. Usually I like the product page to be a white background and then the footer to be a really light brand color or a dark brand color if we want to. But then it's obvious where your product page ends and your footer begins. But this is a nice looking page. The biggest criticism I have is the lack of imagery of the product. So let's go to the home page here and see what we think about the overall brand. Now, I am immediately, when I went to the home page view, hate their header. They've got a centered logo, which is fine, but to the left of the centered logo, they've got their nav menu, and to the right, they've got nothing. So it's very unbalanced. When I say I hate it, that's just me personally, because I'm a huge fan of symmetry, right? And this is a very asymmetrical layout. But let's look at LS Flat's homepage. Now, this is not done well either, where they've got this, they got a nice image, superfood seed crackers, right? So they're trying to say, this is what we sell. I like that a lot. Enjoy LF Flats instead of bread or as a snack on their own. I like that. And they've got this image. I can kind of tell the cracker. It's a really busy one, but not so bad. What I don't like about it is the contrast issues. So that nav menu I talked about shows up in white text on this, and it's overlaid, the image is underlaid underneath the header. And the white text has places where it's easy to read because the contrast is good, and then places where it's not easy to read because the contrast is not good. And then the Ella Flats logo, they chose that to be a black logo instead of a white logo like the white text, and the contrast is not good at all. So the Ella's Flats doesn't pop when you come to their homepage. And they're using white on the header on everything except for the logo for some reason. They have some good value prop messaging on this. Then they drive right into products. I'm not a fan of merchandising products on the homepage. They've got this big banner, which is the best photo I've seen of their crackers so far. They should be showing this on a lot more places. And it says light and crunchy. And it is a full page image. And it does nothing. There's no links. And it just says light and crunchy. It's a nice photo, but does it take me somewhere? Does it do something? And then they've got good logos for brands. Today, Goop, New York Magazine, but they're not clickable. So it'd be nice, what I normally do in that case is I'll link to a blog article to keep them on your site. But in that blog article, you'll show some screenshots if it's a print thing, or, embed some videos if it's an online thing to show some proof that you actually were shown on those brands that are in the logos. And then get to know seeds, nutrition at its best, read more. I love that. Let's see what's behind the read more. Talks about nutrition. I like that a lot. So really talk about the value prop of their products. Not a lot of information there, but they do have some information there. So that's good. Don't take our word for it. So then they have testimonials. I don't know if those are driven. I think the testimonials are separate from the reviews. I think, if I remember correctly, we saw reviews, didn't we? Yeah, we have reviews in the store. I'm on the product page again. The reviews are from Judge Me. So they've got reviews, and so they're not using Judge Me on the home page to show the reviews, because Judge Me has a section you can put on the home page for that. And what I like about using Judge Me on the home page is, so what they've probably done here is they've picked some testimonials that they like the best, which nothing wrong with that, and they put them on the home page so they know exactly what's there. But there's no date on these. So if you use the Judge Me carousel and show the date, what your customers will see is the 3 most recent 5-star reviews, because you can in Judge Me say only show 5-star reviews in the carousel on the homepage, and they'll see the date of today or yesterday or 2 days ago. So that it'll show that there are recent reviews. Now, if you don't have a lot of reviews and you're not getting many because you don't have any sales, then you don't want to show that because you don't want your most recent review to be from 6 months ago. But if you have reviews coming in, I would recommend putting the Judge Me element on the homepage to show the date in those so people can see the recency. Not only have people bought these in the past, but they bought them recently in the past. And then at the bottom here, meet our founder, Ella. Love that. We see a photo of the founder. We love From Our Kitchen to Yours. Ella's Flats is a woman-owned, family-operated company started by Ellen Max in 2017. She's a health-conscious mother of 3 with an appetite, always on the lookout for recipes that taste great and make you feel great. Love that. We get to read her story. So we click on that. I'm hoping I'm going to see Ella's 3 kids here when I click on it. I'm clicking on read our story and it doesn't go anywhere. So I was getting excited to learn about the brand owner. I want to see if there's a page. Yeah, there is a page, just the link on the home page wasn't working. The one in the nav is. So yeah, total missed opportunity, right? So Ella's been doing this since, was it 2017 or was that one of the other brands, right? Let me actually go back to the homepage and see what it said. Yeah, since 2017. Okay. So, and it talks about she's a mom with kids. I don't see the kids, right? So totally missing out on an opportunity to even build that brand even more, right? You're putting a face and a name to the brand, which I love. You're telling the right story, a health conscious mom, but you're not proving that with photos of, the kids and they're healthy and happy and, hanging out with the family and everybody's having a great time and all that kind of stuff. And then, they also talk about the process a little bit. Still could totally have photography there. People love the behind the scenes story. Did Ella start making these in her kitchen? Yeah, I would love From Our Kitchen to Yours. So, you want to show a photo from 2017 or 2016 when she started making her own crackers because nothing was good enough for her kids, right? Nothing out in the commercial world. So show that photo of, making them in the kitchen kind of thing and show the evolution of the brand and all that good stuff. In 2017 is now, quite a few years ago. It's 8 years ago. So the fact you've been around for 8 years gives you some street cred to show that longevity and show how you've grown and improved since then. And, I love so it's a woman-owned business, family run since 2017. Love those things. They're saying it in words, but you could also do some badges, some trust badges with those things, since 2017, family-owned business and that kind of stuff. Blatant promotion of my own app, but we have Badgezilla. And all those badges are in that app, and you can throw them right on your homepage and product page and all that good stuff to reinforce those value props you're saying in your text, but do that in a visual way also. You want to do both because different people consume information in different ways. So you give the same information in multiple ways so different people can consume all your information. On the rest of the homepage, there's a blog. I'm usually not a fan of blogs on the homepage. I see blogs as a way to drive traffic to your store, not engage people on your store. And also, this is the exact opposite example of what I was talking about with Judge Me. The blogs, the most recent blog was March 16th, 2025. Today is October 19th, 2025. And then it says, because the blogs are showing the dates, right? After that, it was December 17th, 2024, and then September 4th, 2024. So they've created 2 new blogs in the past year. So showing the dates there is a negative, right? So I would hide those dates and I wouldn't show the blogs at all on the homepage. You may want to do that. That's fine. And actually, no, these blogs are not good, right? Because these blogs are very press releasey. Now at rallies in North California, so that's in store, right? New packaging, same delicious taste. Big news, Ella's Flats Minis are here. So that they're very PR focused, right? About your brand and about your products. They're not customer focused in, 10 healthy recipes for your kids, how to get your kids to eat better and all those kind of things. If that was your blog content, maybe you could put it on the homepage. I still wouldn't, but maybe you could. This press releasey stuff, I wouldn't do it. But overall, it looks like a fun brand. Some details missing, but they really care about what they're doing, right? They're doing the better, product descriptions, have more copy. They're showing themselves, talking about the brand and a little bit of the story. Just, keep working on that. And I think it's all good there. All right. That is it for today's reviewing of some Shopify stores. Hopefully this was insightful to you on how I look at stores and evaluate them. So you can, take that same eye to your store if you'd like and think about, ways you can improve your brand. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Shopify Solutions podcast with Scott Austin. This podcast is brought to you by Jade Puma, a Shopify-focused agency located in San Diego, California. If you like what you heard, please leave a review and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to work with Scott on your brand, email him at scott@jadepuma.com.